Hey, this is meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios with the very latest on the severe weather threat across northwest Florida, which is intensifying. Now have the possibility of some golf ball size hail over parts of Okaloosa County. Right now it's across the Eglin Range, so not where necessarily people live, but it's an indication of what we were talking about, which was a threat for severe weather today, including the possibility of hail. Meteorologist Dan Nyman is at his house, helping me out there this afternoon, tracking storms, driving things from Springfield, and we have a storm chaser out there today as well. Tyler Spalding is up. Go ahead and tracking these storms, heading up towards I-10, and then hopefully intercepting these as they move. There you go. He's near Frink.
At this point, I think he's covered a lot of ground. I'll get a quick location on him because he's probably heading back towards the south right now. That looks a little familiar to me, kind of like 388 turning towards the airport right here. So Tyler's heading west, it looks like, and that'll be the place to start this afternoon as, of course, we monitor these chance of storms, which is already kind of materializing in the western panhandle, now riding towards the east. Right along that 388 Highway 20 corridor seems to be the spot, Chris, where the most robust of thunderstorms is taking shape right now.
Yeah, we're seeing thunderstorms up along Highway 2, moving towards 90 in northern Walton, Holmes counties. We've seen some intensification of the storms just offshore of Panama City Beach as well. You can see these storms rumbling now with a good bit of lightning. I've been able to hear it here at the house. Most of them offshore, but they're going to continue to move to the east, and you see that could impact Panama City and back over towards Tyndall Air Force Base. Not necessarily severe. The most intense storms right now over into Escambia and moving from Escambia County into Santa Rosa County, where those storms have the potential to produce some pretty big hail. Let's go ahead and freeze that right there, and let's remove the lightning because well, let's see. Right now we have 434 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes, but let's go ahead and remove the lightning so we can get a better look at what we have going on with these thunderstorms as they continue to move from the west and towards the east-southeast at about 30 miles per hour. As we look at live Doppler radar, let's look at the Mobile radar, and we will look at the hail swath. And you can see this storm has had a history of producing the potential for some hail. And what they were talking about as these storms are now moving over into Okaloosa County, that we have the potential with this cell right here of producing 1 inch in diameter hail over the Eglin Range. Now, again, thankfully not where people are because it's over the range there for Eglin, but over here near Milton, we have that potential for some fairly large hail as well. And you see, as far as the timing of this, it's moving towards the east-southeast now at 43 miles an hour, towards Baghdad at 136, Milton at 136, Pine Bluff at 142, and Parkerville at 151. So we have that cell right there, and then we also have this cell over the Eglin range, and you can see obviously a lot fewer places impacted, but Deerland could be potentially impacted, which is just north of I-10 and just east of Crestview at 202, as we'll continue to watch that as it moves from the west towards the east, moving east at 36 miles an hour. You see the potential for severe hail with that is at 80%. Hail size could be as high as 2 inches in diameter with that cell right there. Let's see. There we go. Bring it back out. Let's go up into Holmes County and northern Walton County. We'll get a better look at this. Now, unfortunately today, one of the restrictions that we have is the fact that we don't have the Eglin radar today. It is out. And so we're having to use Fort Rucker or whatever they call it now, and the Mobile and Tallahassee radar. So we're not getting the ideal view of these storms. Let's go to EOX and radar. And there you see, that's what it looks like from EOX. And when we look at the hail, you're not seeing as much hail with that storm from the EOX radar. As far as shear, we're not really seeing a whole lot in the way of any shear associated with that cell either. So that's some good news. But we also, with that storm, and that's a special weather statement for that storm, over into Holmes County and northern Walton County, mainly now into Holmes County as it moves off to the east-southeast, very similarly about 30 to 40 miles per hour. What are you seeing?
I also want to check out that cell offshore. This is moving east, kind of towards Tyndall Air Force Base, or over maybe into the St. Andrews State Park area, but probably the worst of that a little further towards the south. And I'll pull up the velocity for you here, Chris.
Okay.
We can do our best with that. Obviously, with the radar outage, we are having a hard time with some of these coastal storms, and we are fortunate that we're looking at potentially a little more of an inland Highway 20 sort of area for this event today. And there you see right now that small amount of rotation out there. So certainly a potential for a water spout if this were to take advantage of the shear in the environment a little more here in the next couple of moments. But ultimately, that one's not showing those same signs of vertical growth that some of the cells back towards the west, Escambia, Santa Rosa County, seeing some of the most impressive thunderstorms so far today. And I think scanning at that height, Chris, we're really going to have to maybe go more off of structure than what's actually evident with the velocities. We're just scanning too high up. Obviously, the radar beam, guys, is shooting from a slight angle over the Earth, and the further away you get from it, you're scanning at a higher and higher altitude. So looking there, maybe 16 or 17,000 foot altitude rotation is not going to be super useful with this cell as it slides towards the shoreline here, and I'm sure that is one of the big reasons why they have put a special weather statement on that, just because it was briefly there. You might have noticed if we drive this in full screen, you did see one or two scans where there were a little more impressive reflectivity values, potentially some hail there. When you see those deeper colors of pink, that storm's certainly growing a bit taller. Those taller storms have stronger updrafts, which can be a little alarming, no matter what we can actually figure out from a radar that's 80 or 90 miles away.
Yeah, so I was just checking, and at it's 90 miles away, Dan, we're at about 9,000 feet. So yeah, you think about like the base of a thunderstorm is maybe a couple thousand feet. So you're not seeing anything where that rotation is going to potentially exist. And it just goes to show the importance of having a robust radar network that doesn't go down. And unfortunately, we're dealing with that once again today. As the storms are closer to Mobile, closer to Alabama, and closer to Tallahassee, we're fine, but there's definitely a gap today of being able to see rotation. Now, the good news is the tornado threat isn't very high today. A very small percent across our area. It doesn't mean it isn't possible, but it definitely is, it's not zero either. Dan's driving right now, and basically to the west, we have a big storm over the Eglin Range, and then we have a big storm over near Milton. The more intense one is that one over the Eglin Range, and you can see it's right there. You can see, look at that hail core that's started to develop. Hail size 1.25 inches. There's about a 60% chance of seeing severe hail out of that, which would be 1 inch in diameter or higher. And then you have the hail that was over near the Milton area on the north side of the bay there towards Pensacola. So, hail is not something we see a ton around here of, but that is one of the threats today. In addition to lightning, heavy rainfall, and damaging wind, with that smaller threat being a tornado threat today. Mm-hmm.
Let me get my microphone on here. So throughout the day today, you'll see that little pop-up on screen for active warnings. They'll return every 15 minutes, even if they are not expired yet. So you'll get updates there on the bottom of the screen, helps us make sure we're not missing anything. And you'll see as well, if there's a warning in your county, it will pop up on the bottom of the screen this afternoon and give you a view of what counties are affected. We will be on those warnings shortly after we see them there on screen. So there's going to be plenty going on here this afternoon. We were talking about the hail. Wasn't able to get a pixel query on that, Chris, but pretty high probability of seeing some large hail within that. I know we had a storm report moments ago come in right into that western panhandle sort of area with 1.75 inch diameter hail. So pretty large stuff when you're talking about here. And I think we have a graphic in here for that. The hail sizes here. So we query this up. You start talking about that, 1.5, 2 inch size, you're getting into golf balls coming out of the sky. And this is why yesterday when we did our Panhandle Weather Live at 6 o'clock show, I was saying, not everybody's going to see this bad weather today. And that certainly has been the case so far and will continue to be the case for the rest of the day today. But if you do see it, hail's something I'd be watching out for. And obviously with that in mind, might be a good idea to move the car inside into the garage if possible for the afternoon, just to avoid some unexpected costs.
Yeah.
So, we'll turn back to
in the Slack chat with the Weather Service, Santa Rosa County Emergency Management reported nickel and dime size hail near the intersection of Forest Creek Drive and Chumuckla Highway in Pace. So towards Pace is we had some small hail, and that was that is the storm that, let's see, that was about 10 minutes ago there. So that was the storm over near Milton, and then now we have the other storm that's developed over into Okaloosa County, just south of over the range. That one is the more intense of the two cells right now.
So I've pulled the chat up here, Chris, on our channel. That's over on the Mac Mini over there. But we have a few questions. Bluntstown Wanda was asking about Bluntstown. Right now, you're really in the lull of things. Not a whole lot going on there. And probably as you get closer to 3, 4 o'clock, you'll start to see these storms sliding over towards the east. Lightning close to Gulf Coast and FSU. I've been hearing that from my home. I'm over in Springfield, Chris, over in Inlet Beach. So you'll have two perspectives today on the weather from two different sides of, I guess, two bridges throughout the afternoon. I've heard some of it in the distance, probably pretty close to what you were hearing as well. And then Susan asking about Bonifay and expectations. Bonifay is definitely one of those spots, Chris, that I think we could see maybe these stronger thunderstorms slide on in. There's certainly going to be inland spots probably more likely to see the bad weather than towards the coast.
Yeah, right now we have some of the heavier rainfall moving into the Bonifay area. Heavier rainfall, but notice the lightning is generally north of town, so you're probably hearing that. In this view right now, you're looking at 68 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes, but a good many of those lightning strikes are just north of Bonifay right now. And as we put this into motion, this is 30 minutes, you can see the storms are kind of moving off to the south and east. So as far as where the thunderstorm is with the lightning, that is going to pass to the north of Bonifay. Could get fairly close to Graceville, but probably passing just to the south of Graceville. And then through Bonifay, you're looking at primarily some heavier rainfall is going to be possible. Now, a lot of that heavy rainfall may slide just barely south of town. So that'll be something we'll want to keep an eye on there. So like Bonifay could end up kind of falling in between, kind of in that no man's land to a certain extent, as far as if these storms continue to kind of slide there towards the east and southeast right now. So as far as Bonifay is concerned, not super concerned, but you're getting close to having the heavier rainfall move through your neck of the woods. Then south of Defuniak Springs, a little bit of lightning across the Eglin Range, but about ready to cross over 331 just north of Freeport. And then, that sticks out definitely, the storm that's over just south of Crestview right now, with the potential of producing some pretty big hail associated with that right now.
So we have a few more folks chiming in, and feel free to do so throughout the afternoon, as we'll try to cover just about everybody in the Panhandle with questions about each specific town. A few folks mentioning Ponce de Leon here, which again is one of those spots, Chris, that I think we could be seeing maybe this storm skirt by just to the south, but certainly still worth keeping an eye on. In fact, you have that special weather statement just towards the north right now. That could be maybe a little sooner as far as arrival. We also have Tyler here. I've pulled his camera back up, Chris. He's sitting stationary on the western edge of 388. This is over by 79, so he's in a good spot here to be right in the thick of things about an hour or so from now, and he'll be able to give us the views as these storms ride on through. So thanks again to Tyler for taking the time to do that for us. Anything sticking out to you outside of the hail potential within that storm right now, Chris? I don't know if we've really had a great look at winds or what sort of expectation for straight line winds are present within those.
I mean, there's been some potential, but I really honestly haven't seen a whole lot, and we haven't seen any damage reports come from back down the line of any of the severe weather with those as they have made their way through. We could see, in this cell south of Freeport where the hail is, Forest Highlands 210, there could be some stronger wind associated with that. But so far, let's see if we have any storm reports. So let's widen out our view here. There we go, tri-state. And if you look at right now, I mean, and they're a little slower to trickle in. If you go over just north of Mobile up into Baldwin County, there were some hail reports near Interstate 65. Right there we go. That was 1-inch hail in Baldwin County, and then just south of that, 1.8-inch hail. So that's only almost 2 inches in diameter. And as Dan was talking about, that's getting upwards of some pretty large hail up into Baldwin County. So, and that's one of the threats that we talked about yesterday with these storms moving in. And, we're seeing that as a threat right now, in particular south of Crestview, with that potential for some large hail.
Yeah, we're seeing that certainly within this storm right now. And I'll pull the map into a little closer view here. Let's just slide that in full screen so you can get the best picture of what's happening out there. This is just southeast of Crestview, kind of riding along I-10 right now, just a little southeast of I-10 at the moment. And you're looking at this potential hail core kind of riding right within the middle of this swath there. You see that spreading out the potential track of this storm, but it is moving a little bit south of east. So New Home, for example, look at about 25 minutes or so from the arrival of that. And then if you were to extend this downstream 30, 35 minutes from now, I certainly think Defuniak Springs or Alpine Heights, even Mossy Head perhaps, although it might slide to your south, could be dealing with what's going to be a pretty noisy thunderstorm, not just in terms of the lightning, but maybe if you have a metal roof, that hail hitting it would be a bit unsettling as well. I've got Mary Beth asking about Mariana. Mariana could see potentially, if these storms continue on their current track, could see this slide just to your south, but certainly important to be weather aware in Mariana and surrounding inland areas throughout Jackson County. Talk about Grand Ridge or Sneads or up towards Cottondale as well. Those will be the areas here in the near term that these showers, thunderstorms could be on the stronger side. So I'll get us back there, Chris.
Why don't we... So you see there's Mariana right there. So you still have a few more minutes, but they have that special weather statement just west of you. But I'm not seeing anything close to severe associated in that band. So that may move through Mariana with potentially, a little bit of lightning. You'll hear that, but as far as anything severe, not seeing anything severe in that swath that's going to move through Mariana. And then most of this stuff out to the west is obviously going to pass just south of you, closer to Niceville, Freeport area where some of the potential for larger hail is. Hey, Dan, do we want to maybe do a slice through that cell in Okaloosa County and
Yep,
see if we can't see maybe some of that hail elevated aloft?
absolutely. I will pull this down to the side. You can see the
Here,
vertical
we'll do it.
growth within this cell right now. So we'll pull that up full screen for you guys. And here's probably the best view that we'll get of it. As we, if I do this right, I'll be able to slice through both. Oh, we could just slide it back and forth. So there you have kind of two different towers here, Chris, two separate spots where you have some pretty strong updrafts. The first one being right up along I-10 at the moment, where you're seeing that, of course, that vertical growth. There's some of the pinks in there. I don't know if you can see my mouse in there, but that's kind of the more impressive of the two, I'd say, right now. But you do have that big kind of return on the radar suspended in the atmosphere as you look towards the south part of that cell. That's what's kind of riding in towards the north side of Niceville, potentially, if it were to take a southerly track. I think I know somebody asked about Freeport here, and it'll be close. Maybe you'll just be able to skirt south of this storm as it continues on that current trajectory, but definitely an impressive looking one when you just kind of dissect what's happening in the 3D view here. Not the tallest storms we've ever seen either, though, Chris. You're looking at, 25, 30,000 foot cloud tops within this thunderstorm. And again, it's right there along 85. Niceville's about 8 to 10 miles or so to the south. So you're looking all right in the Niceville area and all along the Choctawhatchee Bay. You might be able to dodge this bullet, but certainly areas north of that, as you look in towards some of these roads, you could be dealing with a pretty decent amount of hail right now as this continues, because obviously those brighter shades of purple, and there you can see my mouse right now, start getting into the whites there too. There's a good probability that we are seeing hail within that storm. And if you look, here's our hail tracker product. You have at least the possibility of hail as these colors of pink darken closer towards black, and then eventually you might see some brighter shades of white popping up. That is high confidence that this storm is trending back upwards and presenting a similar opportunity to see some of that 1.5 inch, perhaps 2 inch diameter hail that it has a history of producing back towards the Florida-Alabama line towards the west.
So the National Weather Service in Mobile says, and you're seeing this when you look at the radar return there in Crestview or south of Crestview in Okaloosa County. Storms have gone toward a weakening trend in the last 10 minutes or so. The storm moving over Highway 85 in Okaloosa could still be producing hail up to 1/4 inch, but it's not near as intense as it was farther to the west over Eglin Air Force Base. We'll continue to keep an eye on any potential re-strengthening of the storms across the Florida Panhandle up into Escambia and Covington counties in Alabama. And those are those storms that are located north of the Florida border right now, to see if we get some intensification as they slide down to the south and east. But as far as kind of what we're looking at right now, we have special weather statement for the storms up here, and then we have the severe thunderstorm warning over into Okaloosa County and now parts of Walton County. They extended that warning into Walton County. Did I see that? Or was it Santa Rosa into Okaloosa?
Let me pop back up here on my phone. I've got that up on my phone here.
Yeah, it's in Walton now.
Yeah, so they're continuing with a pretty decent downwind stream of these warnings, which is good because anytime you have hail, especially here in Florida, it's pretty hard to get. It's good to get a little advanced notice of that. I'm looking at the storm energy right now, Chris. Obviously, not a whole lot changes in the near term here. And in fact, I think some of those spots, as we get into the afternoon, we need to wait probably another 25 minutes to get the latest run in here. But you'll have basically up towards I-10 there, I think, where we didn't have that morning round of rain, a little more juice or instability to work with to perhaps see another uptrend with these storms as they cycle through that sort of process of, typical life cycle of a thunderstorm, about 45 minutes. But you get that continued lift and energy, you can obviously get it multiple times cycling back up in terms of strength.
Yeah, so that's what they issued that warning for, thunderstorm warning for Walton County for the storm now moving, that was crossing 85 in Okaloosa County and now moving into Walton County. And the potential is for 60-mile-an-hour winds and 1-inch hail in diameter. There's likely hail coming out of it. There's a 50-50 chance that the hail is severe, and it's estimating the hail right now at about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. 1 inch is technically severe hail. But again, that's moving into western parts of Walton County, but that's also, of the Eglin property. So, again, kind of falling in an area where there aren't a lot of people, obviously, which is good news. But if I'm in Freeport, I want to pay close attention to this as this storm moves off to the south and east. So that is for that cell right there. And that goes, Okaloosa is until 2:15, Walton is until 2:45. But you can see where we have that higher reflectivity, there's a good chance that that's higher reflectivity is actually ice or hail with that cell as it continues to move off in this general direction. And then if we zoom in here, obviously down here is Freeport. So I would be watching like up towards the Owl's Head community and Red Rock Road. That's right there up into along 331, but south of Defuniak down to Freeport is an area I would be watching carefully for these cells. If they hold together, they're hail-producing cells, but we're still have a little ways to go as far as the distance. We're still probably talking about, let's see, that is, let's see, Freeport to there. That's what, we're about 15 to 20 miles from.
Yeah, you're looking at about 245.
Yeah.
For 331 here. I pulled up Google Maps now so we can get all the towns that we desire. And that includes Rock Hill, and then as you zoom in, Rock Hill Road. I think I've covered a
Rock Hill Road.
There
Thank
life.
you. I knew it wasn't Red Rock. I'm thinking of the concert venue.
Well, it was Red Bay and Rock Hill combined. They were getting you all messed up. But yeah, that'll definitely be. I think Rock Hill right there is probably going to be maybe if you were to call it the landfall on the east side of the Eglin Range, there along 331. Probably going to slide right on through there and then continue right down or just south of Rock Hill Road over towards 79, so Live Oak and over towards New Hope, north of Ebro, perhaps on this current track. Although there is somewhat of an expectation as that front sinks towards the south today that we might see a little more of a southerly motion towards the end of the afternoon. We'll see when we start to notice that trend. It might still be a couple more hours from now, but certainly something to think about over into, say, Calhoun or Gulf County as we get closer to 4:30, 5 o'clock time frame. And those storms are closer to being into your neck of the woods.
Yeah, so that's going to be the thing. As the front is coming in on the back side of this, it could end up kind of accelerating that movement of the line of storms a little bit more to the south, like kind of pushing them from the north. So instead of like east or east-southeast, they could become a little bit more northwest to southeast as the storms move through northwest Florida. So looking back out across our area, we got some nice soaking rainfall over into Tallahassee. We have some good rainfall coming in on Panama City Beach. They just issued a special weather statement for Gulf County for the storms that are moving into there. Let me go ahead and take a look at what that says. They're moving east at 50. The hazard is wind gusts to 40 miles an hour. So that's your main threat in Gulf County as these storms move off the water and push across.
Yeah, we're not going to get a great read off of this data from Tallahassee. I don't even know if it's really worth taking much of a look at it, but definitely, as Tracy's joining us now from Mexico Beach, Chris, sunny for now. 10 minutes from now, though, a good downpour, and it's going to be a short one. You'll notice you're kind of getting clipped here by the south side of that cell, so it's onshore and it's out pretty quickly, and then on its way up towards places like Weewha, where this is good news. Some rainfall in the non-severe variety is going to use up some of the warmth we've built up today after that previous rain this morning and make it more difficult for thunderstorms to sustain strength as that kind of final batch arrives towards the end of the day today. So many of our coastal spots, like we've expected, Chris, continuing to see some of this less impressive activity, an occasional rumble of thunder, but pretty benign stuff and enough to prevent future storms from being strong too.
And then there was some pretty good rain up near towards Caryville, but you can definitely see the lightning intensity south of Destin, and you can see that storm north between Crestview and kind of Niceville. That's the most intense storm that we have right now, and that's the one that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning as it moves from Okaloosa County and on into Walton County.
Yeah, a decent little rumble of thunder out there as you see over towards south of Okaloosa County, south of Walton County here soon. Probably not going to be much organization within this one, but definitely something you will be hearing along coastal spots there and along 30A. Just a bit of a breeze out across Destin. So again, I think most of us, like we kind of talked about the last couple of days, it's just going to be kind of comparable thunderstorms to summertime. I don't know if that's an unfair comparison, Chris, but it's all stuff that we're pretty used to. It's just those couple of storms we've seen in the Western Panhandle that have kind of pulled together what was needed for us to reach severe levels, and it's mainly been hail that fit the severe criteria so far.
Yeah. Oh, you know, the other thing that we haven't talked about that we can look at would be the wind coming over into Okaloosa County. But we've seen wind offshore or right near the coastline blowing today at like 15 to 20 plus miles an hour as with these southerly winds out in front of this. Now, the thing to note as the front comes through later on tonight, the return or opposite flow out of the north, the push behind it isn't going to be significant. And that's why we're not going to see a big drop in temperatures. It will cool off tomorrow. It will be less humid, but we're not talking about like a big front like that we're going to see freezing temperatures or anything like that. So the southerly flow out in front is pretty strong, 10, 15, 20 plus miles an hour, but the flow on the back side of this is nowhere near as intense. The winds are much, much lighter. And you'll see too with the dew point temperatures. So you see where the juicier air mass is up here to the north, or the drier air mass to the north, dew points into the 50s. And right now we're looking at dew points way up into the 60s across our area. So this is the push of that drier air coming down to the south. But again, it's not going to be a strong push. So once the front moves through, the winds will be noticeable. They'll change out of the north, but it's not going to be super windy as the precipitation moves through, and then the front eventually moves through as we head into tomorrow. And you see there's our marginal risk of severe weather, and as the Storm Prediction Center is very good at their jobs, you see it has lined up very nicely with where we have the thunderstorms today and where the severe weather risk is, south of Columbus to Macon, over to Savannah, and then back here into northwest Florida, which is what we're seeing right now. The other thing is we've had some power outages across our area. And we can turn off the lightning, And we can see up into Jackson County, we have 200 power outages and 2,500 power outages across Bay County. I don't think that was related to weather as far as the power outages in Bay County. There was rain that moved through, but we didn't see anything terribly strong this morning. So I'm not sure as to what the cause is, but it's been up there towards the Bayou George and Southport areas where the vast majority of those power outages have been this afternoon. So again, looking at the thunderstorms, and there you see you have some lightning south of Bonifay, some heavier rainfall there, and did the person earlier, they were asking about Bonifay, weren't they? So if we come back here, remember we kind of said you could kind of miss it, and I mean, you got some heavy rain there for a few minutes, but the strongest stuff stayed south of you, and then the other stronger stuff stayed between Graceville and Bonifay. And it looks like Chipley's going to miss out on kind of the worst of the weather. So good news there. Bad news is you're not getting as much rainfall.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of hit and miss out there right now. Really a good track for this, what would have been the worst thunderstorm so far today, as far as minimal impact to people and property. It seems through parts of Okaloosa and into Escambia, Santa Rosa counties earlier on. Offshore, we had Don asking, when will it quit raining? Well, if you're in the Western Panhandle, things are tapering off quite quickly here. I think for everybody else, 6, 7 o'clock tonight, you certainly won't have much by way of thunderstorm concern. It could still be 1 or 2 light straggling showers right in along the front. But for many, like Inlet Beach, Kevin was asking about Inlet Beach, the rain probably sticking around for another few hours, Chris. I've lost control here of the touchboard, but
that's okay.
we've got some of those showers kind of sliding on towards the Inlet Beach area, and they'll be off and on and off and on, and then you'll see there, right on the left-hand side of Chris's screen, kind of seems to be like the back edge of this. And obviously we won't see the dry air moving in just yet, but eventually we'll see this gradually come to an end. So maybe not sunshine peeking out here before the sun sets this evening, but pretty easy to get through a day closer towards the coast, at least for right now.
Yeah, and you see there's the heavier rainfall over towards Fort Walton Beach, and so we'll keep an eye on that. That could slide right along 98 through South Walton, Destin, Santa Rosa Beach, and eventually maybe over towards Inlet Beach, depending upon how it all holds together. But, again, if you look here to the north and west, let's go to the Mobile radar just to be sure. You can see this is what's left on the back edge of it. So there could be some spotty stuff a little bit later, but as far as the exciting stuff, the stuff that poses a bigger threat, that's already now through Pensacola and Navarre and is now moving into Okaloosa County. So Okaloosa, Walton, eastward, we need to keep a weather eye. But again, this remains a very severe, very fringe severe weather event for our area, but still the possibility, gusty winds, some heavy rainfall, but hail so far today has been kind of the bigger threat for our area.
Yeah, so we've had several questions popping on in here now, Chris, about specific locations and expectations. I think I'll go from top to bottom here. So unfortunately, the more recent ones are going to wait just a second. But Don was asking about the Springfield area. I'm joining you from there. I think we're going to be pretty much out of the woods outside of course, those rumbles of thunder that we've seen. We've had Lance mentioning some hail. I think that's up near Defuniak Springs, Chris. So that's that storm that was producing the real, meaningful hail. The likelihood of it is passing to your south at the moment, but certainly with that special weather statement to your north, that system could have had a small amount. It does look like Defuniak Springs kind of split the gap between those two, Chris, and it's been pretty benign conditions. And then in Jackson County, Tammy asking about expectations. Well, it does look like right now you're in a similar sort of outcome as far as Highway 20 seeing this storm riding along it. That one could be the one that we keep an eye out for an uptick in intensity. But as far as what's moving through Jackson County right now, let's see. Oh, it looks like that computer's frozen, Chris. That's why I couldn't control
Oh,
it.
which one?
I was going to zoom in over towards Jackson
Oh,
County
okay,
here.
hold on. I can do it for
There
you.
are some, yeah, there are some larger returns of a red there on the radar. So some intense rainfall moving through Cottondale and up towards Jacobs there, and then eventually kind of see it shoot right to the north side of Mariana. But ultimately, it does not look like severe weather at this time.
Yeah, it's, Bonifay got some heavy rainfall. Chipley just kind of missed it. And then over Cottondale, you're about ready to see some of the heavier rainfall, but nothing severe. And when we look at, we'll throw on some lightning, you can see there's hardly any lightning up there in Jackson or Holmes counties right now, or Washington County for that matter. So we have, one area of rain to the north, we have another one down to the south, and then we have the closer right here that's going to kind of fill in the gap and then move off to the south and east. With the most...
Yeah, and Lance was asking specifically about Highway 183 South for hail, which is just north of that one you circled, that big cell that was producing some hail earlier. I think it's unlikely right now, though, Lance. Sorry. Just given the trend within this storm, I think it's certainly gone downward in intensity at just the right time for you here. Definitely some heavy rain, and you're probably hearing the lightning for sure right now. Hearing that thunder, so there's a decent amount of strikes right there. But pretty typical stuff, I'd say, Lance, for this area, even though it is, of course, January and not the middle of summer.
And that's the thing with that. If you notice, Dan, that cell is now going a little bit kind of more east to or west to east. So it looks like it's gone. It's weakening, but it's also going to probably pass north of Freeport. So between Defuniak Springs and Freeport, it's going to pass probably on that northern part of 331. But I'm not convinced how much hail is left in that right now. And if anything, it's pretty small up there in Walton County. So whereas I was a little concerned about maybe Freeport with that cell, it looks like it's gone past north of you and it's weakening. So that's good news, double good news right there.
Speaking of good news, Cheryl wanted to mention, Chris, we didn't miss it. We got 0.7 of an inch here in downtown Chipley, so we needed the rain, and that is actually a positive to come out of this Saturday. And then Dorothy was asking about the coast, St. Andrews, and the Cove. Certainly going to be some more rainfall to keep an eye out for here as the afternoon rolls onwards. Chris and I, though, have not seen anything of concern as far as severe weather goes. So a bit of a dreary day for the St. Andrews Cove area, but ultimately some more beneficial and much needed rainfall in spots along a good chunk of the northwest Florida area. Holmes County, asking a question out of Holmes County. I should learn how to talk coherently, Chris, but they were asking about the storms over for them, and it does look like very soon for almost all of Holmes County. Worst of this weather come to an end. I don't know that we're ready to put to bed the idea of maybe some weaker, kind of quick, light rain showers passing through along the immediate front as that slides across later on tonight. Those are just going to be, a blink and you miss it sort of rainfall, not going to add up a whole lot more to the totals later this evening. Yeah,
look at, these are some of the rainfall totals that we had. There was a nice swath through Walton, like South Walton, and then through like Southern Washington, Northern Bay, through Calhoun County. I know my friends in Calhoun County are happy about that. But then like you go north and it's like nothing in Mariana, And I didn't really have a whole lot at my house so far. So, it just kind of depends. Some of us getting a little bit richer than others, but it was that band that developed this morning that wasn't close to severe. It hardly had any lightning, just kind of passed through northern Bay County, through Calhoun County, and that gave us that bed of good rainfall. Because if you ignore that, we haven't really seen much rainfall across northwest Florida. But you can see back here towards Pensacola, some of the heavier bands of rain there associated with those thunderstorms that were, when they were more intense, were producing hail and things like that. And then now as they're moving east, we've seen, at least in the past little bit of a weakening trend with those storms as they moved through our area.
We had Sharon here asking about any more rain for Greenwood, Chris, and maybe a little bit, but certainly probably not going to add a whole lot more towards the totals here for this afternoon. And then Anthony asking about mentioning that Callaway got good rain and thunderstorms. Yeah, I don't know if you could hear it on my microphone. It is kind of directed at the window, but in Springfield right now, it's coming down in buckets, which is a good thing. Maybe the grass, maybe the grass will survive a couple more weeks here into the new year. Here's an interesting one for you, Chris. We have a view from back into Bay County here. This is right to the south of Highway 79. So I'm gonna just update the title there. I haven't been keeping track of where Tyler's been for a little while, but Tyler is, of course, out following along with the storms right now. And I'll pull this up full screen. I do find it interesting what you're going to see here. If you look out over the water, the flag's still blowing pretty strong on shore there. And the Gulf water conditions, Chris, have really taken a turn for the worse throughout the day today. I think we have a camera in here somewhere. Maybe just puts into perspective some more of what those conditions are looking like. Here's one certainly that could be useful. So here's one of the resorts in Panama City Beach. Yeah, building sets of waves out there. The wind, maybe not the breeziest day we've seen so far, but between the wind and the storms that were sliding through offshore, we've certainly done a number on the beach conditions here for the second half of the weekend.
Okay. National Weather Service in Tallahassee. The severe thunderstorm warning for Walton County, they updated it to reduce the hail size to 3/4 penny, which isn't technically severe, and pivoting to a wind threat with this storm as its outflow is producing a 47-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport, and a previous storm producing a gust of 55 in Pensacola. So in addition to hail, the environment has demonstrated it's favorable for damaging wind gusts, especially with the core collapsing.
Okay, so we spent our time with the hail and the updrafts, and now we're kind of seeing the inverse of that. Of course, with the collapse of these storms, there's so much cold water and ice that's been suspended up in the atmosphere, and then once the updraft weakens, well, it falls out of the sky for lack of more complex explanation, and that's going to create a pretty decent outflow of cooler air out ahead of this storm. And so the National Weather Service talking about it getting a bit breezy just ahead of the storm. You might get that 1-2 punch, Chris, where it's a big wind gust blows through for 10 to 15 seconds, and then next thing you know, it's raining cats and dogs in your neighborhood.
There's one strike of lightning there near Mariana, but north of you, you might be hearing a whole lot of ruckus, and that's up into Houston County in Alabama with that thunderstorm. That's a severe thunderstorm until 2:30 as it continues to move to the east. Then we have a special weather statement for Miller County over in southwest Georgia. That's kind of southwest of Albany. There you see there's Albany there. So we'll keep an eye on some of those storms there with a good bit of lightning and some hail potential in those storms as well. And you can see there was some history there with that storm south and east of Dothan of producing some hail there in Houston County, and then kind of between Blakely and Headland up in Alabama. And as we come into our neck of the woods, You can see there's the line of storms approaching the 331 corridor from south of Defuniak Springs down 331 to Freeport and across the Choctawhatchee Bay, where it's raining pretty heavily right now as it approaches. Right now, raining heavily over the Mid-Bay Bridge, but moving over towards the 331 bridge. And then the back edge of this is pretty much almost to Fort Walton Beach. Is it over in the Cove yet? No, it's not over in the Cove yet. We're not completely out of the woods yet. We have to see what's going to happen with the storm out to the west because they're all continuing to move southeast. So we'll see what ends up happening. So we can't give an all clear yet, but we definitely can give the all clear, I think, for like places like Pensacola, at least for the most part. There, if you look real carefully, there are some storms up into southern Alabama and moving to the southeast. And I think this is what we were talking about, Dan, is the thunderstorms up here. You notice they're definitely moving more southeast. And this is kind of like the final little push on the front. And as that begins to come in, I think we'll start to see this stuff out in front get pushed more towards the south and east.
Yeah, we'll get that nice nudge, and that'll help speed up the process, I think, of bringing this to an end too. But it'll help to steer some of this activity that you're seeing a little further towards the south as well, almost kind of tracing the shape of the coastline. Obviously, that coast having that sort of concave shape facing towards the south and west, and that'll be good news for some of my beach friends in the coastal communities. It still kind of keeps you out of the worst of things, but definitely a little further of a south trend than even what maybe some of the models had, Chris. And that's kind of what we talked about yesterday. 10, 20 mile shift in either direction is a big difference in what you experience in any given spot. But the positive with this, of course, is that it is just a marginal risk. So most of these storms are not going to be eventful for you in your neighborhood.
Exactly.
A lot of questions dropping in. Mossy had a question about what to expect there, what's happening now. So Mossy Head, you're kind of right in that decent kind of stratiform rain at the moment, and we'll get a zoom in on that. I still haven't been able to reconnect to the weather computer.
That's
here,
okay,
Chris,
Dan.
but you're just about to see the back edge of that rainfall pushing on through. That's not to say you'll be completely done today, but certainly you won't be seeing anything like this. A much less notable rainfall, steady, perhaps light rainfall is possible in a brief period of time later on today. Headed to Pensacola for a hockey game. The further you drive towards the west, the better things will get. Certainly by the time you get out into that sort of Escambia, Santa Rosa County, maybe even Okaloosa County, the western part of it here soon, back towards Fort Walton Beach, things are going to improve quite rapidly. So the first bit of the drive, a little wetter than the second half of it, heading towards the west.
Yeah.
Scott's Ferry with thunder and dark skies. So we're getting closer to seeing the weather kind of take a turn for the worse there, but we're not seeing any severe warned activity out there right now either.
This is the weather stem camera over in Choctaw Beach looking to the south and west right now. So this is right along 20 there in south, well, not quite South Walton, just south of 20 on the north side of the Choctawhatchee Bay. Let's see. And let's see, up near the high school, let me see, let's point this out. This is at South Walton High School, which there's some pretty heavy rain about ready to move through this area right now. Let's see, EOX. There we go. Okay, so as we look over just near Mossy Head, there's some light there. We bring it down to New Home. There's 331, and you see there's the heavier rainfall just south of Freeport, down through Bayview, across the 331 bridge over into Santa Rosa Beach. There is some lightning in here as well. Let's back it out just a bit. And you see there's the heavier rainfall as well as the lightning. Go over the past 30 minutes and watch that. Now, there is not a severe thunderstorm warning for South Walton, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning for the central part of Walton County as those storms continue to move to the east. You can see the storms have now moved through Freeport with the more intense storm located to the northeast of Freeport right now. So let's go ahead and freeze this and we'll back it out and do a storm track on it. And so here's all the information that we have on this. This cell is moving east at 43 miles an hour. It has a 100% chance of producing hail. The chances of severe hail is at 40%. It's estimating the hail size at about a ½ inch, and the storm's topping out there at about 30,000 feet. Some of the places in the path of this storm would be Red Bay at 235, Live Oak at 241, Miller's Ferry 243, Holmes Valley at 251, and Vernon there at 254 if the storm holds together as it moves off towards the east-southeast. That'll be crossing the Choctawhatchee River. Then south of Freeport, we just have a just lightning and heavy rainfall there. Or hail. When we look at where the hail threats or where are we seeing hail, the last time we had it was basically over into south of Crestview was the last time we kind of had that good swath of the potential for large hail, and that's why the Weather Service is kind of saying it's transitioning a little bit into a little bit more of a wind threat with that storm over Walton County. Over into Gulf County, you're now at least getting into some rainfall. Switch over to the Tallahassee radar. You can see some pretty heavy rainfall that moved through Mexico Beach just a little bit ago. There you can see that was the heavy rainfall, and now it's sliding east of you. Meanwhile, down into Port St. Joe, so far you are dry, but that rain is slowly but surely making its way into your direction. It's going to kind of get close to you, but a lot of it's going to end up passing north of you. So Mexico Beach definitely seeing the better end of the heavy rainfall there. Over into Panama City and Lynn Haven. You can see some good rainfall up into Lynn Haven, but as we turn on the lightning tracker, there's 2 strikes well east of 231, 4 strikes in total in this view, and those are out over the Gulf, farther out there. So again, not much lightning. There's 1 strike that was right along 15th Street in 77, but for the most part, that's it. Just some good rainfall. You can see this is 30 minutes, 30-minute loop of the rainfall as it moved through Lynn Haven along 231. Panama City seeing some rainfall, and we can go over into Panama City and look at the camera there at destination Panama City. Definitely a soggy view right now. The bay a little bit churned up. Winds are out of the south at 13 miles an hour, dew point of 63, and the temperature 65 degrees is where things stand right now. Coming out towards the west end of the beach, some rainfall out near 79. I'm just now seeing rainfall return to my house. I can hear a little bit of lightning as well, or thunder. You see lightning, you hear thunder. And there's that intense cell that we were tracking. That's the most intense one that we have right now, is over Walton County, eastern Walton County, and it's moving over towards Washington County and the Choctawhatchee River. This one has a potential for some hail. It's moving east at 32. Possibility, estimating hail size now at 1.25 inches and a 70% chance of seeing hail in excess of 1 inch in diameter. So if you're along the Choctawhatchee River north of Ebro, Bunker Donation, Redhead, Holmes Valley, Vernon, and Red Bay, go ahead and hunker down until this storm ends up passing through. As right now it has a hail and a wind threat associated with it. Let's see. See if there's anything in the Weather Service chat here. Let's see. Alabama. No. Yep. Give me 1 second.
Well, Crystal's going to be helping me out here with a quick technical thing, but I can, of course, see some of your questions popping on in the chat. A lot of location-specific questions, obviously. A lot of different communities expecting different things from this line of thunderstorms, or scattered, broken line of thunderstorms for today. Callaway mentioned a couple of times. Callaway is looking pretty decent right now. Just seeing a continuation of rainfall, some distant thunder, but obviously as the back half of this slides on through, it could get a little bit breezier, these storms collapsing. So as Chris was talking about, we're shifting from a hail threat to a wind threat. I don't necessarily think we might see much by way of severe wind, but a 35-mile-per-hour wind gust, if possible, is still enough to be a bit unsettling, especially if you're not expecting it. Over towards Freeport, we have had a few mentions, Chris, of the wind, and wind maybe just picking up a bit, getting a little bit more intense, passing through Freeport, especially on the backside of this storm. So I'm wondering, Chris, if it's possible today we might see a little bit of a wake low sort of develop with these storms. Kind of see that from time to time. It seems like this time of year where it might get a little windier in the backside of this. A lot of mentions of hearing thunder. So I could hear it again maybe on my microphone. That sounded like it was probably up towards the Publix on 231. My ears aren't playing tricks on me.
Sherry Varner telling us that Freeport's looking a lot better than it was, but the wind was pretty crazy on the front end of that rainfall, so the inflow is pretty intense into that area. When we look at, let's clear that out, and let's look at the hail, see if we can see anything on the hail. So there you see it's kind of popping back in here with the intensification of that cell. Again, this is approaching kind of the Red Bay, Choctawhatchee River area. So it's now moving east at 47, 90% of hail, 50-50 chance of severe hail is what we're seeing. Red Bay being impacted in 4 minutes, Bunker Donation in 8 minutes, Live Oak in 9 minutes, and Miller's Ferry in about 10 minutes. This one could get close to Vernon, so we'll keep an eye on that. But as you look down, from Freeport, just some good old-fashioned rain. Down into Santa Rosa Beach, some good old-fashioned rain. Same thing into Panama City and Lynn Haven. Looking up into Mariana, some heavier rain on the south side of town, so some good news there. Vernon, we got some pretty good rain just north of you, between Chipley and Vernon.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm having a whale of a time here,
No,
but
it's okay. Let's see.
so right now we're still keeping an eye on things on the ground as well. This is Tyler Spalding, our resident storm chaser for the afternoon. He's heading up 79 right now towards the north, trying to pick up on an intercept spot to see what he can find right in the heart of this thunderstorm that's just recently passed across 331, heading in that direction right now. It looks like he's going to be up towards the bridge here, crossing over back up towards 388, where you turn off towards the airport. So he'll be in a decent position here in just a couple of moments to pick up on what's happening with that thunderstorm. That, again, we've heard some folks in the chat mention the wind. We have obviously saw hail earlier in the afternoon, although that looks less likely. So he'll be well positioned, I think, here any moment now to drive on into that one. He's just going to have to maybe hit the gas pedal here, Chris, and do some catching up to that one.
Is he? You said he's on 79?
Yeah, so on the map right there, he's got another 10 minutes of driving to get up towards Washington County, and then it turns towards the east a little more. So it's going to be close.
He's just going to go up 79 towards Vernon and try and
Yeah. Potentially make a turn onto 20 and then head east and get out ahead of this. Because I think that pink spot right there, where on the radar right now, we're seeing some of the biggest returns on the radar, is where probably he's most interested in seeing what's happening at the moment. So we have some good news as well, Chris, from Gracie. Fire George just got power back on.
Oh, nice. And let's see. And this gives you a look at that cell that's crossing over the Apache River right now, up near about 30,000 feet. And that could be that hail core kind of suspended above it, up inside that thunderstorm there in, let's see, that would be about 10,000 feet or so, 10, 15,000 feet right there. And that's the most intense cell that we have and we think is producing hail while we have a thunderstorm warning right now. And it's crossing the Choctawhatchee River. So there. So that is probably it. And they just issued a special weather statement for Washington until 3:15. So not continuing a warning, but they are they do have a notification that, you know, it's still a pretty intense storm, even if it's not technically a severe thunderstorm. And we'll see at 2:36 Central, Doppler radar is tracking a strong thunderstorm 12 miles southwest of Vernon. Moving east at 55, primary hazard wind gust to 40 miles per hour and penny-size hail. And that's for that cell that's moving into Washington County right now.
So the hail keeps getting smaller and smaller, and if you're just joining us this afternoon, one of the difficulties with today is the main radar site, basically underneath of the main thunderstorm we're trying to keep an eye on, is not transmitting data this afternoon. It was functional in some regards, but the National Weather Service said that the data was unreliable yesterday and then completely gone today. So analyzing wind, especially, what sort of winds are you going to experience from these storms, is next to impossible, except for ground truth from folks telling us what things are like, because there's really no way from Mobile or up towards Dothan or from Tallahassee to get an accurate picture of what the winds are like at even 2 or 3,000 feet. We're looking at 10,000 feet, which is completely unreliable. So obviously the hail's been a bit easier to spot today, and we've seen that, but it's been kind of tough. The hail's up.
The hail's up.
We want to see down now because the hail is over. We want to see the winds, and we're having a pretty tough time with that. We could see lightning, obviously, Chris, and there's some correlation, more lightning, stronger updraft, stronger storm, but even that's a bit of a guessing game, which I know many of you guys watching probably think all of weather's a guessing game, but today is especially a bit of a guessing game because of that.
Yeah, thankfully, just a marginal risk of severe weather, and so far, the severe weather reports across northwest Florida have been, fairly limited. We had some 1-inch hail that was in Santa Rosa County near Baghdad, and then we had a couple reports over into Baldwin County of a 1 to almost 2-inch hail there. So when you kind of look at it like this, it gives you an idea of what's going on. These orange areas are for coastal locations like over the water. Those are special marine statements like this one down here. And then the tan ones are for special weather statements, which are for like not severe, but hey, that's, like it's noticeable type of weather. And so that we have one of those for parts of Northern Bay, Washington, a little bit of Calhoun County, and then another one down here into Gulf and Franklin counties. Special weather statements. And then we have the remaining of this severe thunderstorm warning for Walton County, and that goes for 4 more minutes as that storm moves from Walton County into Washington County. So what they're saying is they're letting this ride for the severe part for Walton County, but as it moves into Washington, they're saying it's not as strong as it was. So we're just going to let this be a special weather statement. So there could be some small hail, there could be gusty winds, but not that would classify as severe. So less than 1-inch hail in diameter and less than 58-mile-an-hour winds. They're saying 3/4 of an inch in diameter and about 40-mile-per-hour winds is what they're kind of estimating with the cell the way it's comprised right now.
And I just dropped in an update there, Chris, on our alert box at the bottom. It now will show special weather statements since those are becoming the going theme. So I just added a little line to the code, and that's about all I'm useful for right now. I cannot connect to just about anything but the computer you see me on at the moment. I think my internet at home is reaching a little bit of a frustration point. It's probably all the Netflix that's being streamed somewhere else right now.
Yeah, we'll blame her. As far as our area, now, we're not 100% done, and this is important to note, Dan. This cell up near Andalusia is, they do have a severe thunderstorm warning for that until 3:30. That's in up into Covington County, Alabama, and...
yeah, it's an interesting polygon shape.
Yeah.
Just look at the storm tracks on that. It's interesting to go due east with that storm. That's clearly what's riding in along the front. I bet if we pulled the winds up right now, you'd see probably up towards Waynesboro or Jackson, maybe signs of a wind shift, more of a westerly wind beginning to take shape back there. That one does look like a bit of a beast from here, starting to grow, even though it's a small cell as far as the width or the aerial coverage. What is within that storm could be pretty intense if you're underneath of it.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see anything widespread, but it is just of note that when the rain ends here shortly, we're not like 100% done with rainfall or even thunderstorms. There could be some right here along the front. Not necessarily will they be severe, although obviously right now we do have a severe thunderstorm. But just be aware that there'll be kind of like a smaller final round that sneaks on through here along the front a little bit later on this afternoon, early this evening. As far as, let's see, we can look at power outages. So it looks like the power outages are done, or I don't have any in Bay County right now. So hopefully that's good news for my friends in Southport and Bayou George, which is primarily where we were seeing the power outages, but we do have 200 people without power right now up into Jackson County. So if anyone's joining us in the chat that didn't have power, that now has power, if you could kind of verify that, that would be hunky dory. And then over into
I know we've had one message from Bayou George that said we're back in business, and looks like that's continuing to be the trend. Good close strike of lightning there.
Yeah, that's good news.
In my neighborhood.
700 people in Mobile County too.
So yeah, heavy rain. Jim says heavy rain in the Cove right now. Very heavy rain. This was about 4 minutes ago on the Ebro-Vernon line. And then a question, will Mariana see hail with these storms? And I'd be inclined to say probably not, unless, of course, that cell all the way back into the Wiregrass region southeast of 65 could somehow find its way all the way from there and make you the unlucky recipient of what seems to be a storm that's probably producing maybe just a small amount of hail right now.
Yeah, I mean, the hail tracker and, the radar from Fort Rucker or whatever it's called now is, not showing any hail. We've seen that down into Houston County. So maybe hail is not going to be as much of a threat with the cell up here to the north and west, and maybe it's just going to be a rain / wind producer. So we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, we're not seeing any hail in that storm as it moves over into Covington County. And then, so to answer your question, Mariana, nothing imminent right now. It's mainly just light rainfall. And we'll have to just see if anything out here to the west ends up coming in. But the good news is, you'll be able to see it from pretty far away because it's just these little tiny cells that continue to move on through. It's raining pretty heavily right now along Highway 79. And you see that's that cell that we think is producing or was producing at least some small hail as it crossed from Walton County and went across the Choctawhatchee River approaching Highway 79. And that should be pretty close to where I think Tyler is right now.
Yeah, it looks like we might have lost him about 2 minutes ago. He's going through the dead spot, especially if he has Verizon like I do. That's an area where the Spotify music will turn off if you're going up towards the airport. I think you poke out over 77, so up north of Southport here, and then probably head up towards Bozeman and park up in that parking lot.
Okay.
And there he is. He's just popped back in. So he's still heading in that direction. This is right into the east side of 388 where it meets up towards 77. So it'll be a left turn from there and another 5-7 minute drive and up towards Bozeman, which I think is a good holding point. And we could also get the Bozeman weather stem camera queued up because as we look towards maybe the 3:30 time slot here, we might be able to pick up on what might be the worst weather currently occurring at that time when that storm passes through.
Believe it or not, I don't think we have the weather stem camera there anymore. I think it's just...
Well, it's a good time to get a Panhandle weather camera up there at Bozeman.
There we go.
If anybody's watching from the school. We still have 7 we're looking to place, and it seems like a good fit.
It would be a good spot. So these are your hail spots that we've had over the past hour. Dothan, Walton into a little bit of Washington, and then over into Okaloosa County. Those are kind of where we're seeing hail. Velocity, nothing has really looked anything suspicious this afternoon. And right now, we throw on lightning, and you see there's a few spots for my friends over in southern parts of Calhoun County. We're talking down towards like the Kiner community. Could see, we're seeing some heavy rain as well as some lightning. And then we also have, good amount of lightning over into Washington County, just to the east of Highway 79, moving over towards Highway 77. And then the other thing is there's some pretty intense storms now extending from Panama City out into the Gulf, looking south of Panama City Beach. And we'll look back over the past 30 minutes on those. And they're just kind of sliding kind of more like east-southeast. So that'll be something we'll want to keep an eye on for our friends like in Mexico Beach and Port St. Joe down the line with these storms.
Yeah, I've got an interesting one here pulled up, Chris.
Okay.
I'll swap over to my computer. We'll do things the old-fashioned way. It's like being back in college and giving a presentation. This is the Storm Prediction Center's Mesoscale Analysis website. I'm not going to bore you with it for too long, but ultimately, the main thing that's sticking out to me is if you look down towards the Forgotten Coast area, kind of stretching from Mexico Beach and areas further towards the south, you had a morning round of rainfall. You've had some kind of stratiform rain throughout the midday, early afternoon hours, and now this encore of more intense thunderstorms moving in that direction. However, if you look, you might not be able to see my mouse here, but down into that region in the Panhandle, your CAPE, or potential energy, what we look at for instability or juice and fuel to work with for thunderstorms, things are more than likely going to be pretty hostile for thunderstorms to continue to exist in that area. And we're kind of seeing that already. If we move back to the map here, in the current conditions of what's happening, we had that special weather statement for this northern half of Gulf County. You notice a couple of lightning strikes still popping up there, but a lot of that is some pretty weak activity. Most of that rain is just rain. And it'll be interesting to see, Chris, as this activity in the Gulf continues in that direction. I would not be surprised to see it fall apart pretty quickly once it becomes more of an imminent problem down towards Mexico Beach, St. Joe Beach, into Port St. Joe. Where just looking at the analysis here on my computer screen, there's not a whole lot of juice to work with. Obviously, still you have some of the wind shear out there, and that might be able to stir up a wind gust that is a little bit on the stronger side. But for sustained thunderstorm activity, certainly a good sign for my friends living down in that area.
Yeah, that would be good news. If we get weakening, but maybe keep the rain together, a little bit. And then there's the, so if we're kind of looking right now, there's 3 areas of interest. There's one in Washington County, there's one in southern Calhoun County, and then there's kind of this band out into the Gulf. And those are kind of your 3 areas that we're looking at right now as far as where our storms, our hot spots, if you will. And then to the northwest, we still do have some thunderstorms that are persisting up near Atmore and Escambia County and Bruton and Andalusia. And these are moving a little bit more like in this direction.
Here's one for you, Chris, really quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to slide us over here to one of the Panama City beach cameras. We were using this to look at surf conditions earlier. And now, if you check out some of the palm trees out here, seeing the wind up part of Panama City Beach, you can see the ponytail palms definitely rustling around here. You still have a bit of an onshore wind in this direction, and you're kind of catching that along the shape of the building here. But definitely seeing the wind kind of within the thunderstorm, and more so, I think, maybe on the backside of this thunderstorm, too, that you've been pointing out. It's getting a bit breezy out there. So I'm going to look on my computer here for some ground truth wind readings from some of the different Mesonet sites across that area and see what we can pick up on winds. And then that might give you a good idea of what to expect as this continues towards downtown Panama City.
Hey, Dan, is just as you do that, I just got a tweet from Sandman, and you can see he just said serious wind came through on the west end, and you can see there's a a dumpster
It's a dumpster.
that got pushed out into Front Beach Road there. So that verifies exactly what you were talking about as to how strong those winds are and what you're seeing on that camera located on Panama City Beach. So
Here's another view. It's you got to squint a little bit to see it, but some of these palm trees. We'll circle that one up there. There. Look at the water spray. You know, we're blowing things around pretty good out towards Front Beach Road now onto the east side of Panama City Beach, and maybe a sign of what's to come over into town here on the backside of this. So it's almost like non-thunderstorm, Chris.
yeah,
It's just wind. I'll take you back out to that other shot. We've definitely seen a little extra progression from the water here. But things may be just starting to let up a slight amount out onto Panama City Beach right now. So it wasn't for a significant amount of time, but definitely unsettling for a brief period of time.
Christy says that the wind sounds like a tornado Middle Beach, along Middle Beach in Panama City Beach. So let's pull up, let me see if we can't pull up the Sharky's camera maybe.
Yeah, let's
see if, because that's not in, if not, I can just walk over and do it through links if you need me to.
yeah, let's
Okay,
do it that
okay.
way. That'll probably be the quickest way.
Yeah. Let's see here. Studio cameras. Go Sharky's deck.
And so now Tyler is getting into the thick of things now. This is on 77 once again. He's heading north right now. He's just gone past Bozeman, I believe. And he's really into the thick rain at this point. Visibility pretty low there. The windshield wipers working hard. I haven't seen much as much by the wind side of things. This is that cell that's kind of passing through Crystal Lake right now. Vicksburg seeing some pretty heavy rain at the moment too, and then a little bit towards the east now of Crystal Lake is where that's continuing to move in that direction. Greenhead seeing it as well. You can find it just about to pick up on this. Bennett as well. So that's the most impressive storm that we could see over the land at the moment. Obviously, we're looking from pretty far away with the radar at this time. Here's a look at Sharky's right now. So again, Chris, the Gulf getting pretty churned up, and things look pretty rough out there.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that. I can pull up too. We could probably pull up like the Pineapple Willie's camera. Because that one shot has the picture of the flat. Well, that's not the one I wanted. I thought that was, let's see, is it this one?
That's a good one.
You can see there. Is it that one? Maybe it's just moved. Okay, so beach, pier. And we have, let's see, schooners. Schooners is closed for the rest of the month. Chillin'. Think maybe today's the last day? I think maybe I heard that. But you can see it's definitely raining pretty heavily right now over into Panama City Beach. And as our folks were telling us, you know, it's windy as well. And you can definitely see how rough it is out there on the Gulf. It gives you a look there. The umbrellas are tied down a little bit, but you can definitely see the lights. The umbrellas really getting blown pretty good there over on Panama City Beach at Sharky's there. So
we check back in with Tyler here. It's looks pretty tame compared to what we were seeing from reports across the Panama City Beach area. This is some pretty standard rainfall at the moment. Maybe some thunder up there. I'm definitely hearing a bit more over towards Springfield, Callaway area right now, Chris. But it doesn't sound all that close to me. It just sounds like it's maybe 10, 12 miles away right now.
yeah, Christy was talking about how strong the winds are at Runaway Island. She lives next door, and said it's really windy and really rough right now, and that's the view from next door of Christy's house.
So I have a view here coming in for you, Chris. This is the Uncle Ernie's camp. So this is over towards the St. Andrews area, and you're starting to see that wind really pick up. So we got a report from John a moment ago near the Lagoon Bridge. The wind got pretty nasty, and of course the rainfall coming down in good chunks as well. This will be a spot 3 or 4 minutes from now that I think we'll see similar. Hopefully some of these water droplets clear off the lens and we get a better read off of the palm trees and the boats. But the wave's picking up right now as well. And Ariel asking, how do you report a picture? Well, there's the easiest way.
I got it for you, Dan. And
the Panhandle Weather app.
Yes.
You can drop that link in the comment section, Chris. We have a slide on the home page when you download it. Scroll, I think, the first 3 tiles, and then it's right there in between the current conditions and the radar. A Submit Pictures tab, and that'll get you right to the spot where you just drop the picture in from your phone's camera roll, and we will be able to drag it in here on the stream.
So if you pop up there you go. You can see this is the app and what Dan was talking about. You see submit photos right there, and you can say, send a picture from the roll or take a picture. So we will take a picture. We'll say use photo. You can see there's the backside of the garage, the studio, the garage door, the whole thing. You say, use this photo. You click that and put in your name and email, any information you want to share about it. And then you can go ahead and hit the submit button in the upper right and submitting content. And that goes right into the weather computer where we can approve it and then drag it into the system. So it's just that easy to submit a picture through the Panhandle Weather app. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, so back to
the camera. It's like raining sideways right now on Panama City Beach.
I'm back on the Uncle Ernie's cam,
Okay.
and you'll see. Where's my telestrator? Water droplets will clear out, and you'll see right here. There is an American flag that is standing straight out. You got a lightning flash there on the screen as well. So the wind picking up right now. Of course, you have all the open water here too. You'll notice though in the top corner of the screen, starting to see some clearing already. So maybe the rain comes to an end before the wind does, but the wind certainly noticeable here within this at the moment.
And you can see
Go back towards the radar.
Yeah, if you come back over to the radar, let's go to right now. We'll get rid of the lightning. And you can definitely see here that it's like a bow. And so probably what we're seeing is that straight line wind threat beginning to develop as we have that line that extends from 77 through Panama City Beach, and out into the Gulf. And we're getting that punch in behind it that's creating this squall line right here, where we're seeing that higher wind threat and getting all these wind reports, in particular out over across Panama City Beach. But then you look out to the west and Destin, And things are, at least for the time being, hunky-dory. And look at that, you even got a little bit of sunshine beginning to sneak on through over into Destin. And then a couple spotty showers and storms. Again, very isolated still along the front out to the west. But as far as right now across Bay County, we're definitely seeing a band of heavier wind and heavy rainfall coming through Bay County, Panama City Beach, and over into Panama City, likely extending up into Southport and Lynn Haven as well. Sean, thank you very much for that. Sean Priola, my eyes are still good enough. A big gust of wind in Lynn Haven. Wanda, you're very welcome. Let's see. Ann is saying off and on gusty with heavy wind or heavy rain over at Tyndall Air Force Base. And heavy rain and wind gusts here in Panama City Beach from Betty Hall. Thank you very much for those reports.
So let me go see what I can see outside.
You notice the hail, there hasn't been much in the past hour after that storm crossed the Choctawhatchee River. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I'm going to just jump outside really quickly. I'll mute my mic in here, and then you just press the cut button when you see me.
Okay. There we go. So as we look at the live Doppler radar, we continue to see that heavy rainfall coming through Panama City Beach. We'll zoom in here. And Parker seeing heavy rainfall. Over at Dan's house, probably seeing some pretty heavy rainfall right now. And undoubtedly, I guess we'll verify here in a second whether we have how gusty the winds are there over in Springfield as this line moves on through. So there's Tyndall Air Force Base seeing the heaviest of the rain, downtown Panama City. We can probably pull up that camera here in just a second. Yeah, look at the difference here. I mean, this is pretty wild. So when you look at what it looked like in Panama City a minute ago versus what it looks like right now, I mean, these are breakers that are coming in right there. And you can obviously see the camera getting shaken a good bit. Whenever you're ready, Dan, I see a, okay. Yeah, you can definitely see the heavy rain, the wind. Okay, they're saying that they can't hear you, but I tell you what, we can just pull it up on speaker with my microphone and you should be able to hear us. So if you want to just go back and kind of recount what you were saying, Dan.
Yeah, it's probably because the phone call was taking control of my microphone, but we had brief winds here. I've stood out in tropical storms a couple of times, so it wasn't quite that strong, but definitely a good 25, maybe 20 miles per hour wind. We had some lightning off in the distance, and you have good puddles forming here in the backyard, which means we got a decent rain here, but it was quick. 2 or 3 minutes that we saw the wind pick up. And if you were in my house, it would have sounded probably a little more unsettling than out here, just with the siding kind of sliding around a bit. But at the moment, pretty manageable in Springfield. Even with these tall grasses that are prone to making the wind look a little more dramatic, it's been pretty decent here. And we're very quickly seeing conditions calm down. So I'm curious to see what it would have been like closer to Tyndall Air Force Base. That's about 5 miles to my south. But a little further inland, it was a quick burst of wind, and we're back to smooth sailing with some clearing evident in the sky up towards the northwest.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. Looks like you've gotten a decent amount of rainfall there in the little soupy in the back part of the yard.
Yeah, it's definitely accumulated here. I wish I had a rain gauge, but normally it takes at least a half an inch for us to see the puddling here. And with how dry it's been, how sandy the yard is right now, I'd probably say it's been a little more than that. We've had 3 rounds here in Springfield, so if we were up above an inch, I probably wouldn't be surprised.
Got it. Okay, let's see what we have here. See, we got some. Let's see it. Let me look at the radar real quick here, and we'll look at. Yeah, the heaviest of the rain is Dan's just kind of coming out the other side. It looks like right now, as far as where the heaviest of the rain moving on through, and probably the gustiest of the winds.
Yeah, what's interesting is the wind just picked up again for a quick second. So maybe it's not quite a wind flow, but maybe some additional wind to deal with here as this continues. If you look behind me here, just look at the sky there. These low-level clouds are ripping along, so that's probably a good piece of evidence, Chris. I don't know if my phone's picking up on that. There it is.
Yep.
I think that's some good evidence that while right now I'm not experiencing the wind quite that strong, there will be times where those winds just a couple hundred feet above me get filtered back down to the ground, and that's probably when you would see that elevated wind, kind of like what we saw back west towards PCV. A little downdraft, and those clouds moving along much faster than what I'm experiencing here is the wind you're experiencing as the ground is the power line just got hit.
So is that behind you looking west?
This is looking towards the east over my shoulder.
East.
That's west. So if I were to hold my phone out like this, we are looking due south towards Park.
Okay. So let's see, Becky, Rain, and Greenwood. Sharkies, if we pull up the Sharkies cam again, the storm clouds are beginning to dissipate. And I think that's what we're seeing on the back edge of this. Let me pull up live Doppler radar real quick. And you can see this is Panama City, and the wave action is pretty incredible that's been coming in. Now, I can definitely tell the wind has subsided a little bit because it's not quite as big as what it was when we first went to this camera, but still some very, very gusty winds back over into Panama City, looking out over into Panama City Beach. But let me go ahead and pull up right now on. We can pull up, we'll see what the Sharkies camera, and you can see there on the right part of the screen, that sunshine, sky's beginning to clear just a bit. And you can also tell that the umbrella is not blowing as strongly, and the light's not blowing around as much. So we're seeing some quieter conditions develop off to the west. Now, I saw a couple of you asking some more questions. And let me zoom out and we will get to those. So you see, as we look up towards south of Mariana and along 231 and out here, this is kind of where I think we're seeing the strongest winds begin to punch through this area, moving over towards Tyndall Air Force Base. And I'll be interested to see what we get with the wind speeds at Tyndall Air Force Base as far as the weather station weather station there. Now, someone was asking me about Gulf County and Weewa. Right now, you're seeing light rainfall, but there is some heavier rainfall to the west. And so that's what Dan just went through, and that's going to be sliding in your general direction. So we'll want to kind of keep an eye on that. So it's not like you're completely out of the woods. You do have some heavier rainfall that's going to be sliding in, as well as some gustier winds associated with that line as it moves on through. Slack. We'll see if we have anything in the Weather Service chat. Okay, we had a wind gust of 49 knots at ECP at 2:55. This was well removed from the main convective cores, perhaps a smaller scale rear inflow. No severe is planned. We'll go with a higher grade SPS further east. So, okay, so that's probably, Dan, what that just, is what made its way down the beach. Nice.
There we go. Screaming at me, no audio. We've got the mic back on. It was red. Yeah, that cleared through quickly. Up across most of Bay County right now. See Chris dropping some storm reports to the National Weather Service.
Yes.
In action.
Just keeping them updated on what we were seeing here, just in case they weren't aware. Looking outside right now, outside our studio, and I can see I have sunshine here in Panama or in Inlet Beach. And so you see they just expanded that special weather statement east. So now it is, it's basically covering that whole line that we were talking about. So it goes up to Mariana, but extends through southern Jackson County, right down 231 towards Tyndall Air Force Base in Panama City. And that's a special statement that is in effect until 4 o'clock Central Time. And then behind that, you can see just a few isolated, very small, spotty storms. No warnings right now. We did have a warning earlier up into Alabama, and that's associated with the front as it moves through. And again, looking for hail. There's no hail in that, so it primarily looks like just a wind threat, a brief wind threat, heavy rain, maybe some lightning as those storms move on through. So Mariana down through Alford, and you see right down 231. And then once you get to, say, Bayou George area east of there, stretching down through Tyndall Air Force Base. conditions. I'm just looking to see if I can't see what the current winds are over at Tyndall Air Force Base.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of our weather sensors across like southeastern Bay County. See if the Mexico Beach ones reported a elevated wind gust here in a few moments. That'll be the next like opportunity to see what's going on within this. Is if you're looking there behind you on the touch board, we're right about to get within that, and then some more folks joining us from up into Jackson County. Also a check-in from Fountain. Lots of heavy rain reports, and we'll be keeping an eye, I think, on just the rain up there right now. Obviously, it seems like further to the south and east, through Gulf County potentially here soon, would be the storms capable of some wind. But again, maybe half an hour ago, we were talking about how we kind of expect that weakening trend to continue down in that area.
There we go. Let's see. West at 10. So nothing's come through yet from Tyndall as far as like the stronger winds, but it definitely has to be coming. Because the last update was at 255, so obviously that wouldn't have captured it.
Up in my neck of the woods at the water treatment facility, Chris, the 10-minute peak wind was 22 miles per hour. So that was like right in the middle.
Okay.
20 to 25. Mexico Beach got up to 20 already, so that'll be the interesting spot to see.
Let's see. And let's see, 22 at the sheriff's office in Bay County.
So here's a decent view as we wait now for the wind to pick up in Mexico Beach. You can already see the camera shaking around just a small amount. Unfortunately, we don't have many cameras to pick and choose from where this storm is currently located. Nothing out along 22, which I think would be a more likely spot to be seeing some wind right now. Mexico Beach will be an area I think we have to keep a close eye on here for some briefly windy conditions. Also, Lisa Chris pointed out that there is now a power outage in Weewa. So maybe see what we could pull up from that. Perhaps a lightning strike. I know I'm still hearing some out here in Springfield, even with that storm off to my east now. Not seeing much by the rainfall, or as far as rainfall goes yet in Mexico Beach, but definitely an increase in the winds, and the clouds are just ripping. This is kind of like a slideshow sort of camera. The pictures come in every couple of seconds or so, but you can see a lot of movement out there with that in mind. Tyndall now calm with light rains, so we're now seeing that area, Chris, over towards the bridge, get on the backside of this. And Wendy's saying there was a beautiful rainbow in Miramar Beach.
Backside of this rainfall because, like I said, I'm seeing sunshine at my house, or at least some sunshine. So we should be able to see that. Was that just more thunder at your house?
Yeah, I know Lisa said lost you guys. That was probably my feed. Probably went dim for a second. We had the lights dim, and I have this Xfinity mode that, I've never seen Wi-Fi go down as quickly. It's like the slightest inconvenience, and it just quits.
Yeah. Let's see. let's look into the Weather Service chat. So 49 at ECP. We can pull up, let's see, lightning. 228 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. And storm reports. Had the hail over near Mobile and Milton. And we'll see probably that report from ECP pop in here in just a minute for the 49 knot wind gust over at ECP. So if we look, if we look, let's see, it looks like origin. So I was just looking at flights. There's one from Atlanta. That got delayed a little bit. It's going to come in about 30 minutes late, and I assume they were just waiting for the because they won't release the planes from Atlanta until they can land here, and vice versa. So because we're within, I guess, a close enough window of it. But anyway, point being, they finally did take off. It's going to be about 30 minutes late for that one. There's another one from Austin that's going to be about 30 minutes late on Delta, 20 minutes late for Houston, and Austin for Southwest. Looks like it's going to be a little bit ahead of schedule. Everything else appears to be in the ballpark of on time, not seeing any delays over at ECP right now. Let's see. Give me 1 second, and we will pull that up full so you can see it. And Wendy's asking, did we see the picture that you sent? And we will see if we can't do that. Content gallery. So, okay. There we go.
I got it.
Okay. Do you see it? I mean, we could pull this up and you can see.
Yeah. That's one way to do it.
This is the faster way. But if you want to pull up any of that stuff, you can. These are just some of the pictures that we got so far today. And this is on the bay. That's the Choctawhatchee Bay. Miss Jane, thank you very much for that. My dad took that. That's Santa Rosa Beach. See, there was that picture I submitted to the studio. Let's see, Airman Gribbon over in Mossy Head. You see there's the sunshine returning. Rain coming down from in Bayou George. And there's the sunshine up in Mossy Head from Airman Gibbons. Thank you very much for sending in that picture. And look at that, a bit much of rain today on the ranch in Clarksville. Nicole Willis. And let's see, we got our roosters there. So those are some of the pictures that we've gotten today through the Panhandle Weather app. We certainly appreciate it. The bulk of the active weather, again, stretching from Mariana through Calhoun County and down over into the eastern parts of Bay County. Let's look at the velocity data out of there. Not so much for shear, but for straight line winds. Although it's not ideal, as we've talked about today, with the radar situation, with the EVX Red Bay radar being out. 39, 38 miles an hour. Now keep in mind this is elevated above the ground because we're looking at the Tallahassee radar, which is over here. So you're talking several thousand feet above the ground. So it's not capturing close to the ground like you would over at the Red Bay radar there. But it does illustrate the fact that yes, there are gusty winds in this line as it moves to the east from Mariana down through Tyndall, approaching Mexico Beach right now. And you can see that line now is beginning to kind of sink to the south towards, hopefully, Port St. Joe, which has gotten very little rainfall so far, and hopefully we'll be able to bring in some of that for you. Look at there's your power outage for Gulf County. That I can't remember which viewer it was mentioned it, but yes. So there's your power outage, and we have 500 people in Gulf County right now without power. So 500 power outages in Gulf County. And those are the only power outages in our area that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, a lot of the action now is kind of back up into Georgia at the moment. Which is where, like yesterday, the Barron model and the HER to a lesser extent were kind of pointing out the potential for some stronger straight line winds, and the National Weather Service also pointing out that hail core has shot up in a storm near Albany. So a little better environment to work with, it seems, up there. And right now we're kind of witnessing that expectation of, yeah, I think, you know, there's just not much to work with if you were a thunderstorm looking to survive this environment that it's all sitting in right now. Probably not very friendly compared to where we started the afternoon over into the western panhandle.
Yeah, and you see there's that cell up near Albany with the potential of 1.5 inch size hail. And that's just north of Albany up moving into, that's Lee County. Yep, just south of Leesburg.
We have an interesting question here as well, Chris, from Christy. If the rain, especially all the rain we've gotten, could make red tide worse in Bay County or last longer, I'd be inclined to say it's possible. Certainly more runoff would come as a result of the rain. I don't know if it would have an impact on the duration of red tide sticking around, but it probably could make it worse.
Yeah. Now, one thing to note, though, is that with the red tide, that our winds tonight, tomorrow will turn out of the north, and that would, say, push respiratory issues and, in theory, push the tide down to the south. So with a northerly wind, that would push those impacts farther offshore, in theory. It's not going to be a strong wind as we talked about. It's going to be I'll say light to moderate northerly wind. It's not going to be like the strong southerly wind that we saw today. It's not going to be to the equal opposite of that, but it will push the air mass to the south, which would take, say, like the respiratory issues, and as a result, also take the water, the current, would then kind of push out a little bit and take some of those impacts away from the coastline. So it could make at least some of the issues get briefly a little bit better across our area. Now, I haven't, there have been more issues into Gulf and Bay counties. I'm in Walton County, and we haven't seen any issues at all. I walked the beach yesterday, no dead fish, no respiratory issues. But it's, to people that haven't experienced it, you definitely know it when there's a decent red tide. I've been down here when it has been, and like everyone's walking around in hospital masks, because otherwise you're just like coughing all the time. You see 188 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. Then there's still a decent amount of lightning with these few storms up into Escambia County and over into towards Andalusia. But for our area, you're running south and east of Mariana down through Panama City. We should have some pretty good rainfall right now coming down over into Mexico Beach, and hopefully here in the next few minutes we'll see some decent rain finally coming in to Port St. Joe.
Yeah, so Chris, turn the hand tracker server off on links.
Okay.
I should be able to get back in.
Let's see.
And while that happens, back over into Panama City Beach, just a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through here as the afternoon rolls onwards. I'm not entirely ready to start throwing some all clears out yet, only because of what's happening up towards like Bruton in Alabama. Maybe those storms, like, let's not put it to bed yet, I guess, Chris, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But it definitely looks like things are going to be calm for an extended period of time. We'll just keep a close eye on those, and then everything else now kind of to the east of 231. So we've had the radar kind of zoomed in on the southern half of the Panhandle here over towards Mexico Beach, where you kind of see, as this gets closer towards Tallahassee, it almost looks like a very outflow dominant storm. You see that leading edge of rainfall kind of racing away from the core of the thunderstorm. Just a couple of lightning strikes out there on screen, 25 total in the entire area of the screen that's covered. And definitely a weakening storm here. Apalachicola, East Point, down towards Dog Island and St. George Island, you're having more of a steady rainfall, and that will further kind of use up what's available there in the atmosphere, and make it so that these storms likely continue to weaken. I'm curious if anything's popping off up towards Bluntstown into the Calhoun County area right now, Chris. It doesn't seem like there's much of significance happening as far as thunderstorms go. Right now, there's count maybe 6 or 7 or 8 lightning strikes within there. A couple more over towards Quincy at the moment in Gadsden County. But all of this kind of on the downward trend at this time, as it is actually close to approaching now the eastern edge of that special weather statement.
Yeah. So the heavier rainfall has moved through Clarksville. It's now moving over into Bluntstown. There's a little bit of lightning, as you mentioned, and that extends down towards Weewa. You notice in Weewa, though, right now, mainly just light to occasionally moderate rainfall. Nothing in the way of heavier rainfall or severe weather along 22 as you make your way from Bay County on over into Weewa this afternoon. You see Lynn Haven, the sunshine beginning to appear. And don't forget, you can, if you see a rainbow, snap some pictures of it and share it with us through the Panhandle weather app. We would absolutely appreciate it. We'll be sure to share them. And that's, when we look at Holmes County, Walton, Washington counties, at least for now, you have a break, and then we'll keep an eye out with these few storms here as they come in. But you look at them, and I mean they're not nothing as they move to the south and east along that front. And if you look here, so if we go, let's go now, national dew point, and you can definitely see on the back edge of that the drier air mass, and then the juicier air mass out in front of it with dew points in the 60s. And then there's your front right there. Your front is located right here, and it's just going to act like a big squeegee and kind of push it all to the south and allow that drier air mass to begin to move in as we head. It will take tonight into tomorrow morning for that to end up happening. So if you look up, let's see, let's go location, southeast. And this is what we were talking about, the bigger storms up near Albany with that severe thunderstorm warning. And then there's your kind of final batch right here with your front. And it's just going to push these storms to the southeast. So we're not 100% done with the thunderstorm activity, but again, this is very spotty and should be fairly brief this evening. So at least we do have a break in the rainfall here across northwest Florida this afternoon. There's eastern Jackson County is where the heavier rainfall, Grand Ridge, Sneads, seeing some of the probably gustier winds that you've had, also the heavier the rainfall. And that extends down through Bluntstown along Highway 20 there, but especially down along the river south of Bluntstown, down towards Scotts Ferry, and then Weewaw. And then some more heavy rainfall beginning to approach Mexico Beach, or moving through Mexico Beach, and beginning to approach Port St. Joe.
So here's a shot, Chris. We'll jump back on board our storm chaser here. He's about to, as the sun's opening up, he's kind of on the back side of this line. Try to figure out what road we're on here. Probably guarantee that billboard says Perry and Young on it. That's not a great landmark. Let's see if I can't get a location off the spotter network here. 231. There we go. So this is on 231. We're gonna get a good view here in a second, he says, of the backside of this storm, all illuminated by the sun with the shadow there. It should be a pretty dark looking cloud, of course. And the roads already look like they're generally pretty dry. So it was kind of in and it's out. As the system kind of picked up speed down into that area. You're not really seeing as much of an impact down in that area in the 231 region, right about where I am. So you come around the curve there. But you look towards the east, that's on the left-hand side of the screen. Sky's still on the darker side of things. Look towards the west on the right side of the screen. The sky's opening up with at least some cirrus clouds and filtered sun trying to poke on through, and it will continue to try to do that throughout the remainder of this afternoon. Meanwhile, those showers up into Alabama, we're what's the progress on those? I'm going to pull up just the National Weather Service radar on my computer.
Let's see. The progress up towards where?
Back into like southwest Alabama.
Oh.
They look like they're starting to fall apart. We had that severe thunderstorm warning briefly, but now it seems like a lot of really small cells that have taken a turn towards the south. So there's the sign that the front is kind of heading in that direction. As you get up towards Jay and Century, McDavid here, you're going to be seeing this second batch of rainfall right there. But it does look to me like it's a little less likely we see that maybe east of 331 over towards like Holmes or Jackson County. I don't know that you're going to see much of this second round of rainfall right now.
Yeah, you can see like the storms are from Andalusia through Atmore. So they're getting close to moving into Florida. There's a pretty good little thunderstorm north of Daphne crossing Interstate 10, not too far away from like say the Spanish Fort area. But I mean, as far as severe, no. You know, we're talking lightning and some brief heavy rain. That's about it.
And then up towards Sneads, Chattahoochee, just passed through Grand Ridge, had some pretty heavy rain there. I'm not seeing much lightning within the last couple of moments here.
Nope, it's crossing the river right now, but nothing in the way of any lightning in that area.
And then Bluntstown missed out on the real heavy stuff, just passing to the south of Bluntstown, Bristol. It passed through Kynard and Scotts Ferry and Frink earlier on, but now we're seeing it back into Liberty County now, kind of racing away from our coverage area here and off towards areas east of Tallahassee within the next hour or so. Still decent few lightning strikes within that. Not seeing as much elsewhere to the south and west, but certainly some lightning there. And then to the south, over towards Port St. Joe and Cape San Blas, these are skirting ever so slightly towards the south right now. So we're not seeing a south motion from them, but they're moving more south than they were beforehand, if that makes sense. A east-southeast trajectory is what they're on right now, which is going to help clear this out of places like Port St. Joe, Apalachicola, Carabel very quickly. And in behind that, a good pocket of dry air is already starting to set up. And I'm seeing more and more folks on social media and in the chat here mention the sunshine poking back out. It's really trying to do it quickly now as we can work in some of this slightly drier air. And we'll see at times, like what we're seeing here over into Panama City Beach, just a little wave of cloud coverage, but, you know, not any sort of inclement weather at this point. It seems in kind of what's kind of sliding in right now over towards Franklin and Liberty counties.
Yeah, you can see like the mostly cloudy skies across northwest Florida. The Gulf's still pretty churned up, but the wind not as strong as what it was as we look over at the Casa Loma camera. If we look out over Sharky's on Panama City Beach, you can see mostly cloudy skies there. Jolie says lightning in Sneads. That one surprised me. Nothing that you need to be like overly concerned about though, but you're getting some heavy rain, a little bit of lightning in there. There's the camera there. As we move over into let's look at Destin right now. You can see mostly cloudy skies. Look at the rain south of there. That's a pretty look right now. Also, hey, Dan, the thing to note here, look at the wind in Destin. Northwest at 5 now.
Yeah, so we're already kind of seeing the signs of being post-frontal.
And you can look at it down the coast there, and it's definitely sunnier. And you look south, and it's definitely stormier there.
I have a pretty view pulled up here, as that's fantastic. Back towards Destin right now.
Hmm.
You can see all the sunshine sneaking through the cirrus clouds. If we pop back up to my feed, I just pulled up the satellite. This is just the raw visible satellite imagery. We still have enough daylight left to use it. You can see the clouds off of or the shadows off of the clouds. And if I stop it right now, look at the northwestern part of the Panhandle. So not quite the coast yet, but we're trying to get there. Pretty much all of I-10 from Holmes County to the west is enjoying a lot of sunshine with clouds off in the distance. You have still some of those cumulus clouds up towards the Wiregrass region, so still a couple of potential thunderstorms. You can see them bubbling up there, but they're weakening as they slide towards the south. And then as you get east, you're still socked in with cloud coverage from the Apalachicola River and off towards the east, especially where there's, of course, still rain ongoing and still some lightning offshore as well. It looks like down to the south of St. Andrews State Park and offshore from Tyndall Air Force Base right now, Chris. It looks like there's still a little bit of juice left in the atmosphere. This is just a much weaker system than where we started the afternoon. I noticed from the National Weather Service, too, about 10 minutes ago, that 56 mile per hour wind gust at the airport, Northwest Florida Beaches International, was confirmed. I think that's one of the storm reports that's popped up there. One of those red icons north of the bay. That was a pretty punchy wind for a brief second.
And then the Gulf Beach Resort 57. So this is all adding up to what we talked about, or what you guys were telling us, and what we saw was that there was this period that the winds really began to pick up as we saw kind of like the squall line develop, and got that punch of stronger winds coming in along it, kind of forcing it forward and now pushing it down into places like Gulf County. But as we look at, this is a visible satellite imagery, and you can see there's definitely a clearing spot across our area. There are the thunderstorms east of 231, and then we have a clearing spot with a mix of sun and clouds to the west. And then there's another little batch of cloud cover associated with some of those thunderstorms moving from southern Alabama back over into parts of northwest Florida. A little bit of lightning, some heavier rainfall, but right now, nothing in the way of any severe weather. Those are some of the reports that came in, 56, 57. And that's, part of the reason why this whole channel exists is, guess what? 56 and 57 miles an hour aren't severe. 58 miles an hour is severe. So, if you're talking about like, oh, we only cut in for, severe thunderstorms, like that technically wasn't severe. So, you have to, that's why this channel exists, is that, if the wind's 40, 45, 50, you're wondering like what's going on. And so our goal is to be here for you and let you know what's going on with the weather, even when it's not necessarily severe.
And here's a great look, Chris. He can wave as he drives past. This is heading down 231 Tyler Spalding. A good view of, you can kind of see like the steps of the cloud bases as you get on the back side of this system. This is 231. He's going to pass across past the new Publix here in a second. He just passed the Titus Park neighborhood about 3 or 4 minutes ago. So heading south right now, or southwest, I should say, and you can see the lowering cloud bases towards the southeast there on the left side of the screen. But it's a good sign of how quickly things are improving. And I think if you kind of interpolate with the types of clouds you're seeing, you can kind of pinpoint there's a decent amount of stability out there in that direction. Not a whole lot looking concerning as far as what you'd expect with the backside of that. And we're feeling pretty good about the storms out there right now. I know some folks still watching with us are experiencing some heavy rainfall that's down towards Port St. Joe right now. I think Apalachicola at this point starting to pick up on some of that too. And there's going to be a couple of waves of that, or at least brief breaks of the intense rainfall, but lightning is far less notable here right now. And then as you get up into Liberty County, even into Wakulla County right now, We're already seeing that rain move that quickly, Chris. It's heavy in Tallahassee and it's heavy in Wakulla County. The second half of this has moved more quickly, and it's moved quickly into an environment that's not great for thunderstorms. We also talked about that system up towards Sneads and right up towards the tri-state. That one's still producing some lightning. There was a strike just a couple of minutes ago east of Sneads. But the rain definitely tapering off right now within that one. And as you look down towards the south, Bristol, just a brief period of heavier rain. You got some lightning just a little bit towards the south. You might have heard that from Scotts Ferry or Sharpstown, but definitely non-severe thunderstorms right now, and hardly even at this point thunderstorms into the Apalachicola River Basin and just off towards the east.
Yep, and there's your rain, Port St. Joe. You're finally getting some. So that's some good news for you as that rainfall continues to move through. And we go back over the past 30 minutes and you see that progression of it moving in from the northwest down towards the south and east. Still some lightning in there, so be aware of that. But you know, again, none of this is what we would classify as severe. Just for the most part, some heavy downpours and some lightning. Chattahoochee seeing some heavy rainfall. It's drying out in Two Egg and Steam Mill up there along the Chattahoochee River. And you see the heavier rainfall now moving east of Bluntstown over into Liberty County. Getting some rainfall over into the Apalachicola area. East Point seeing some rainfall. But again, not expected to see any severe weather. But at least you're finally seeing some of that rain begin to move in. And these are our rainfall totals so far. Where we've seen some of the heavier rainfall. Central parts of Calhoun County have seen over 2.5 inches of rain. You can see Mexico Beach a little under an inch of rainfall, but then you come down to Port St. Joe and you're at 0.14 inches of rainfall. You know, you get over into South Walton, we saw 3/4 of an inch, 1.25 inches, southern Washington County. Southern Jackson County, you've seen 0.7 of an inch of rain, but like northern Jackson County, there's like spots that haven't seen hardly any rainfall. 0.14, you know, like very, very little. And that was the case, you know, northern parts of, parts of Holmes County, Walton County, Okaloosa County. Some folks are probably very disappointed in how much rain they ended up getting, but then we had swaths of, you know, close to 1+ inch of rainfall moving through. Weewa, you're over 1/2 inch of rainfall. You know, if we look into Bay County, you know, Lynn Haven, 0.7, Southport over 1 inch, Panama City over 1 inch of rain, Panama City Beach over 1 inch of rain. But then you come out to the west end of the beach and 1/4 inch of rainfall over towards Lake Powell, Laguna Beach area. So, you know, I mean, that's the way it goes with rainfall. Not everyone sees the exact same amount, but you can definitely see on this map that there were definitely haves and have-nots when it came to the rainfall. And keep in mind the rainfall estimates could be a little bit off because, again, we don't have the access to the EVX radar. And so as a result, you know, that kind of makes it a little more difficult. You're using radars farther away to estimate the rainfall here. But it at least gives us an idea of who saw more and who saw less. I see we have a new updates.
While we're recapping things from the day. This is about 1:45 this afternoon up towards Milton, Florida. So that system that this was right when that initial thunderstorm that was severe warned kind of began to taper off producing hail. But you see here some hailstones submitted from up towards Milton. This photo showing, look at the size of the one up towards his fingertip. It's probably not quite severe, or maybe just on the fringe, but that's just about what we saw across a decent chunk of the Panhandle. Then back, of course, into Alabama, we were seeing much closer to 1.5 to 2-inch hail. But this is enough to definitely be unsettling, and that was probably the bigger story from what we saw today with the storms. It kind of was a bigger hail producer at first, Chris, and then obviously the wind outside of the thunderstorms on the backside of things, that strong inflow there, producing some winds across Panama City Beach and inland Bay County. Right now, I think we've seen pretty much everything shift to the north and west. And we had a question from Trenton here. Will this affect Daytona Beach? Daytona Beach will get rainfall tonight, but the marginal risk of severe weather stops. If you drew a line from Ocala to Jacksonville, it would come to an end, I think, right about there. So they're not expecting severe weather in the Daytona Beach area, but certainly some rainfall going to move through the overnight hours tonight and be gone pretty much by the time you wake up for tomorrow.
Yeah, I can zoom here.
See.
And so you see Daytona Beach is a general risk of thunderstorms, and then the severe weather risk is kind of like Jacksonville through Gainesville and down towards the coast.
And a lot of that, I'd imagine, is stuff coming kind of onshore through the Big Bend area.
Yes.
Is you're gonna have a little more to work with where it hasn't rained there.
There's Tallahassee here. You can see there's that hail, Dan, that there's a weather service or a spotter report of hail covering the ground in just south of Leesburg in Lee County there, which is between Albany and Leesburg there, moving from Lee County over into the next county over, which is Worth County. That's Sylvester, but it should pass to the north there. But definitely good. Definitely a lot of hail associated with that storm as it moves off to the east-southeast at 24 miles an hour. So hopefully, maybe we can get some video of that. They say that they have some video, so as soon as that comes in, we'll be sure to share it. There's raining in Port St. Joe down to Indian Pass, seeing some rainfall finally down towards St. Vincent Island. And if we look back here on the Mobile radar, you can see we still have that rainfall to the north and west, but it definitely looks like the volume of lightning has subsided significantly as those storms move down toward Florida. Crossing over the state line right now, Escambia County into Escambia, Florida, and Santa Rosa, Florida.
There's a good-looking view of some of the clouds. Sky's still dark into the eastern part of the county right now, as just in time for things to turn completely quiet and us trail off towards wrapping it up for the day. I can log back into the weather computer.
Oh, can you?
Yeah. There I am, steering away. I think if we take this U.S. radar here, you can kind of see what's going on. We already have this very outflow-driven line of storms. It must have produced some severe weather up towards Jacksonville, but this itself is quickly sinking towards the south, so it'll be a light, quick burst of rainfall. And then I would say, Chris, our front is probably already kind of swung through past Atlanta, and we're very close to seeing this become a completely forgotten memory. But obviously, as you get into this region here in the Panhandle, there's not going to be anything to work with for severe weather to happen. If we take it back to our little coverage view here, lightning strikes continuing to dwindle down, the amount of lightning strikes that we're seeing. Still a little over 100 in the last 15 minutes or so, but that's significantly less than what we were seeing a few hours ago. Most of those are in this cell over towards Tallahassee at the moment. That's a pretty good punch there, not quite enough to be warned. It doesn't look like they even have a special weather statement on that right now, but lightning at least present there. And then you have some more kind of just mixed in and around all of this messy, kind of disorganized thunderstorm activity. Most of these are starting to age, and we'll see the peaks drop off over the next 5 to 7 minutes, as you've kind of got two different spots here. You have these storms, or at least showers with a couple of rumbles of thunder. They're sinking in this direction. And then you have this one over towards Leon County that's moving a little more eastward at the moment. And as that happens, we're kind of just spreading this all out and pushing it more quickly out of the Panhandle.
Yeah, I'm inclined to probably wrap it up here pretty soon, because I mean nothing's severe, and it's moving east of Tallahassee. A lot of it, that little Boeing line that's east there, that's now moving east, so that would take it over towards Jefferson County. And then we have some good rainfall down along 319, 98, but some lightning, but again, not a lot. We have in this view right now 109 lightning strikes, but that includes some big stuff into Alabama or up into Georgia, Tallahassee, smattered, and then a little bit of lightning. Not much left. Definitely you've seen a weakening trend, which is good. That, if we're talking about, being completely done, other than maybe a rumble of thunder and a brief spurts of rainfall. But I think like the main threat is rapidly ending for our area. And, in the end, I don't think we're going to end up seeing a ton of huge impacts here, which we didn't necessarily expect, because, again, it was a marginal risk of severe weather, which is very fringe.
Yeah, this was we kind of expected it to be a fringe event. I think we fit the definition pretty well. Pretty good forecast from the Storm Prediction Center as far as where things happened. But like any marginal risk, you expect one or two storms to be somewhat punchy. Everything else is fairly ordinary, and that's exactly how today shaped up. It did shape up a little more quickly than I might have expected, which is obviously fantastic. This back half of rain, our model actually did a pretty good job of picking up on that yesterday, Chris. The storms up towards Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Florida line, it had the right idea. They were just a little less intense today, which means we're going to be able to wrap things up much closer to 4 o'clock than 7 o'clock. Yep,
and I don't think anyone's complaining. We get rid of the rain or the storms before it gets dark. That's a pretty good thing. But so far, everything has been mainly hail and gusty wind reports. But so far, nothing in the way of any damage, which is some good news.
Yeah, so I think we'll take the time to go enjoy some of this now turning sunny afternoon.
Yes.
Of course, once again, if you'd like to support the efforts today from the coverage, the best way to do so for us, of course, if you're not following Panhandle Weather on social media already, is to take it a step further, download that Panhandle Weather app. Not only can you watch the coverage that you watched today to get you through showers and storms, you also get those live push alerts faster than basically any app. There's lightning, rotation, hail, severe storms, tornado warnings. You're going to get it quickly, and that goes alongside your standard forecast. Driven by us here at Panhandle Weather, it was a big part of the process here developing this project, and there are a lot more big things coming for that app in the new year as 2026 gets underway.
It is exciting stuff. Had a meeting the other day with something that I think our boating friends might be really excited about. So we'll continue to add and add and add, and in the process, hopefully sell a few ads here and there and keep the lights on, if you will. But so far, so good. We appreciate you, and this is kind of what it's all about, especially on a fringe severe weather day. For those that are interested, we're happy to have you, and for those that wanted to watch football instead, then I totally get it.
Yep, we're not interrupting football. That's the best part. It's just, this is our world, and we get to do with it what we can. Also, a thank you here to Tyler Spalding. I think he's driven about 300 miles in the last 6 hours. He did a big loop all the way from like Mexico Beach up 71 across 20, I think, back down to the beach, back up across 388. He's been everywhere, but it was fantastic to have his view on the ground. It's kind of hard to see what's going on outside when you're stuck inside covering things, and of course we're only able to see 2 locations at once, so he's a huge part of what we were able to tell as far as the story today. We'll try to bring that back, I'm sure, for the next severe weather event as well.
Exactly. That's all part of storm chasing. More times than not, you're going to go out and not necessarily see what you're hoping to see. But in the end, that's not a good thing, or that's not a bad thing, because no one likes to see severe weather. But at least we have eyes on the ground to kind of verify exactly what we're seeing on radar, which is super important on days like today when the radar, you don't have the radar that you really need for severe weather.
Yep, but I think we'll wrap this up here, Chris. Another successful afternoon following these storms, which we fortunately had weakened throughout the entirety of our coverage. We'll be keeping an eye out, I think, for maybe some more rainfall towards the end of next week, and in between that time frame, a warm forecast for the Panhandle. Not unusually warm, but certainly a lot warmer than the way we started off last week. Chris has the forecast there for this evening. So maybe some fog before the front passes, but that's probably going to be no longer an issue by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. Your 7-day forecast, temperatures bouncing around just a bit above average into the 70s by the middle of next week. Rain chances return by Friday, but you'll notice right now it's a bit small on the screen there. It's only about a 30% or so chance right now. So we'll see. Probably not going to be the same sort of deal that we're dealing with for today. As far as inland areas, much warmer conditions into the upper 70s by the midweek. Wind returning by Saturday there too as the front passes through, so that end of the week time frame might be our next chance to see some showers and thunderstorms in the Panhandle. Anything left to add, Chris?
Not really. I am, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to cut some updates real quick for the channel, so that way you have some fresh content. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to do that because I've been up here doing it actually live, but what I'll do is record some of those, so at least we'll have an update on the forecast for this evening and on into your Sunday. And for some of us, dreaded back to work on Monday, and kids headed back to school as well next week. Ooh.
It's a disaster.
Some sad faces.
I can't press the button and play the music after that.
Oh, goodness. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Dan. We appreciate you, and we'll keep you posted with the very latest, but that's going to do it for our live coverage, at least for the time being.